Welcome back to the Namoli Family Stadium and Game 2 of our scheduled doubleheader today between the Tampa Spartans and the University of Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs. I'm Bruce Wozniak, joined by Connor Moore, as the Bulldogs take the opener by a score of 4-1. And so the teams come into this game with updated overall one-loss records of 18-7 for UT and 8-8 for the visiting Bulldogs. And Connor Moore with the starting pitchers for this second game.
Yes, indeed. For the Tampa Spartans, taking the circle is a freshman, a dynamic freshman, phenomenal freshman for the Spartans. It is Mariah Galehouse from Spring Hill, Florida. She has provided a spark and has contributed in the circle when Corinne Miner is not out there. And she will be going up against, for the Bulldogs of Minnesota Duluth in their own right, another fantastic hurler in Straia, and that is for Minnesota Duluth, Maddie Soria from Superior, Wisconsin, another freshman. So two freshmen in Game 2. Should be an entertaining game, Bruce.
And for Mariah Galehouse, she has a 2.03 earned run average through 51 2/3 inning pitched so far this season. And for Maddie Staria, a 1.53 earned run average of 4-2 one-loss record. And she's pitched 32 innings this season. And we'll start off game number 2 of this doubleheader with Lauren Oberly to bat for the Bulldogs. And the first pitch from Galehouse is ball 1.
Oberly, the player of the game in game number 1, had a 2-run shot to get things started in the top of the third. Also provided an extra base double as she takes all the way. 1-1 the count. The two umpires will flip-flop for this game. Kevin Jack calling balls and strikes. He's the crew chief. Krista Hanukkah will move from home plate to first as an off-speeder from Galehouse finds the strike zone.
So 1-2 now to Lauren Oberly.
Excuse me, swing there to stay alive. Fouls it off. Let's give us a quick moment. Kudos to both these coaches, Leslie Cantor as well as Jen Walter. Veteran leadership between these two.
That one's outside for ball 2, so Lauren Oberly now 2-2 here in the top of the first inning, the leadoff hitter. Next pitch from Galehouse, and that one will find the gap for the first base hit of the game. So a good start for University of Minnesota Duluth. And interesting to note, Connor, in that first game that although they won the game 4-1, they didn't necessarily have their hitting shoes on. It wasn't a hit parade for the Bulldogs.
No, Oberly now on the day, she's 3 for 5, was 2 for 4. But like you said, the rest of the lineup was very quiet. Block had a single. Other than that, the rest of the team was hitless.
And this is Taylor Kanan with a base hit to center field. And so Kanan follows Oberly as UMD puts their first 2 batters on base with back-to-back singles.
Well, it's apparent that the Bulldogs playing with confidence right now. After winning the first game 4-1, why not start this game off right where you left off? That's what they did. The first 2 batters get on.
And this is Jessica Bren, the catcher. Two runners on here in the top of the first. And the 1-0 coming to Bren. And she smacks that one to short. It's bobbled and over to third in time for out number 1.
Heads-up decision by Balmer. Initially could have had the double play had she fielded it cleanly, but once she bobbled it, still had time on the fly to get the lead runner Oberly at third. She did that for the first out.
And that'll bring up Jordan Thomas. the first base player for UMD. The 0-1 coming from Galhouse. Swung on, and that one gets under the glove of Emily Jansen, and the Bulldogs put the first run of the game on the board. So Jordan Thomas with an RBI single, and now over at third is Jessica Bren.
Let's get to know the Spartans' defense, starting in the outfield from left to right. Avery Perkins, Corinne Miner, Mac Allen, and in the infield, Bailey Phillips, Steph Ballmer, Christina Klauberg, Emily Jansen, and catching for Mariah Galehouse is Lexi Chevalier.
Jamie Lindben is the batter, showing bunt, and nope.
She's out because it was a foul ball, and when she made contact, it was out of the batter's box. And there will be an appeal from Jen Walters saying that, hey, wait a minute, part of her body was still in the batter's box. And, of course, the rule, her whole body has to be out of the batter's box for it to be an out. Our crew chief and home plate umpire, Kevin Jack, said that she was. From our vantage point up here, it certainly looked like she was out, and the call will stand.
It did. And so 2 away then. Here in the top of the first, Bulldogs have taken a 1-0 lead. Runners on the corners, and the batter is Sydney Zabral.
So just like that, the Spartans find themselves, from Mariah Galehouse, 1 pitch away from getting out of this jam and limiting the damage to just 1 run.
And the 1-0 taken by Zabral for ball 2. And right down the middle for strike 1. Mariah Galehouse working against an unfamiliar opponent, save for game 1, this being the first ever meeting between the two teams here this afternoon. Did you see out number 3 recorded? And the Spartans dodge a little bit of a bullet. The Bulldogs get 1 run on 3 hits. There were no Spartan errors, and 2 UMD runners left on base. So the score is University of Minnesota Duluth 1, and the Spartans coming to bat here on Tampa Spartans. Maddie Staria, the starting pitcher for the Bulldogs, getting ready to work here in the bottom of the first inning, facing the Spartans leadoff hitter, Steph Ballmer. And her team already in a 1-0 lead. And the first pitch from Staria is way up high for ball 1. And as Connor mentioned before, Staria, a freshman, just like the Spartans' starting pitcher for this game 2 of the doubleheader, and the 1-0 is swung on and missed.
And I'll tell you, Steph Ballmer is such an important part of what the Spartans tried to do offensively. Give the Bulldogs credit. In game 1, they held her in check. She was 0 for 4 and left 5 runners on base. She is an elite player and a gamer, so she's a tough player to keep quiet for too long. Let's see if she has better success here in game 2.
And you saw Balmer showing bunt there. Behind in the count, 1-2. And Staria ready with her next offering, and it's outside for ball 2.
Again, our game time weather presented by Team One Sports, up to 79 degrees.
Swing and a miss. And down goes Steph Balmer.
How about that change from Staria? Had Balmer out in front, was unable to lay off in time. One up, one gone.
Steph Balmer, the first strikeout victim for Maddie Staria. As you see, a swing and a miss there by Christina Clawberg, Spartans' second base player. Staria's 0-1 up high for ball 1.
Mentioned Oberle now with 5 home runs on the year for the Bulldogs. What kind of pop she presents from the shortstop position? Is that one foul out of play? 1-2 now the count.
Catcher is Jessica Bren. See her putting her mask back on behind the plate. And into her crouch. And now the signals for her freshman teammate Maddie Staria. And here's the pitch. And right across the letters, Christina Clawberg. 2-2. And Clawberg follows that one. One out here in the bottom of the first inning. 2-2 the count, base is empty. Second hitter of the game, and Clawberg follows that one out of play on the first base side. Staria is 2-2. Swung on the other way and down the left field line and caught. A nice catch made out there by Lauren Greeter for out number 2. And Christina Clawberg gave that one a nice ride. And that'll bring up Corinne Miner. And in game 1, Miner with 2 singles, a double, and a walk in her 4 plate appearances. Pitched 4 2/3 innings. Pitch up high to her, ball 2. And Miner swings at that one, and she'll be retired as out number 3 as the catch is made by Jordan Thomas. So the Spartans, no runs, no hits. No Bulldogs errors, and no runners left on base. We are through 1 inning here in Game 2. Our score, the Bulldogs 1 and the Spartans nothing, here on TampaSpartans.tv. Back with you here at the Namoli Family Stadium, getting ready to start the top of the second inning. And the Tampa pitcher, Mariah Galhouse, ready to go back to work in game one of this doubleheader. Galhouse contributed at the plate. She was 1 for 3 and had Tampa's only run batted in. And now sends her first pitch in of the second inning for ball one to the batter, Hannah Block. Hannah Block, the designated player here in the second game, and shoots one over to third. And nice relay there as Bailey Phillips sends it over to Emily Jansen for out number 1. And that'll bring up Emma Frost, third base player. And Frost in game one was 0 for 3.
Bruce, we do have Sam Kay warming up for the Spartans in the bullpen. Saw her in a relief appearance for Corinne Miner in game one. Expect to maybe see her later on today.
And now here comes the 2-0 to Emma Frost. Swing and a miss.
For Emma Frost, she had that highlight reel play in the first game defensively, a diving basket catch, charging in foul territory from third base.
2-1. It's ball 3. And you see there that Frost is optimistic, thinking that was ball 4.
Umpires never like that. When you start your movement towards first base before the call is made, ball or strike. Here's the payoff. She gone, says Kevin Jack emphatically for the second out in the second inning.
And so Galhouse with the strikeout. And that'll bring up Lauren Greeter. Two outs in the top of the second. A 1-0 Bulldogs lead in game one. We were scoreless after 2 innings before UMD put up the game's first runs, plural, getting 2 of them. As you see that one on the ground out for out number 3 of the top of the second. So the Bulldogs get no runs, no hits, no runners left on base, and we're through 1.5. They lead 1-0. And so Mariah Galhouse, who I had mentioned contributed offensively in game one, now comes up to the plate for her first at-bat of game two. The number 4 hitter in the Spartans batting order, and this time around facing pitcher Maddie Staria. And Staria with the 1-0, and it's fouled back by Galhouse.
We've had a good crowd here at Namoli Family Stadium for both games. Big Monday on TampaSpartans.tv. Liner, shallow center. Will it fall? No, it will not.
Nicely hit ball by Galhouse as the out is made.
The Spartans, number 15, Bailey. He does.
And the updated numbers, Bailey Phillips, the batter, 189, which includes game 1 of this doubleheader. And on the season, to go with that 189 average, 2 home runs, 7 RBI. And behind in the count here in the bottom of the second as the 0-1 coming from Staria. And a nice play there. And just like we saw in game 1, Emma Frost with some acrobatics over at third base.
Yeah, we'll watch it one more time here on TampaSpartans.tv. What a play at the hot corner. The reaction speed by Frost apparent, gliding to her right and able to keep it in front of her. Well done.
And that brings up Lexi Chevalier.
And Bruce, what does that do, making an impact play like that defensively to create energy and motivate this team?
Well, that's a real shot in the arm. You see a nice play like that. You already won the first game. You're winning this one 1-0. Just a continued confidence booster. As you see the catch made there for out number 3 by Lauren Greeter. And so the Spartans go down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the second. So our score holds the Bulldogs 1 and the Spartans nothing. Mariah Galhouse finishing her warm-ups as we get set to start the top of the third inning here at the Namoli Family Stadium, located on the grounds of the University of Tampa campus in West Central Florida. A very sunny Monday afternoon. And the visitors in a 1-0 lead after taking the first game of this doubleheader by a score of 4-1. And leading things off for the University of Minnesota Duluth here in the top of the third, it'll be Lauren Oberle, the shortstop. Oberle 1 for 1 in this game. She singled to start off the game, and as Connor has mentioned, Oberle, big numbers in the first game, 2 for 4, drove in 2 runs, scored 2 runs. And you see her ahead in the count here, 2-0.
Yeah, Bruce, and the Spartans are 4-1 following defeats, so a category where they have been successful following losses. And right now, I think for Galhouse, gave up that first run in the first inning, settled down in the second, 3 straight out of the strike zone. She looks to find her command. And how about that? Usually 3-0, you see a fastball. She goes off speed to get the strike, whatever it takes.
And given the track record of Lauren Oberle and the 3-1, strike 2.
No fear. She is not afraid of the dangerous Oberle. And hey, a 3-2 count to the top hitter for the Bulldogs. Here we go.
And slices that one through for another base hit. So Lauren Oberle continues to be red hot as she is on first base.
Now batting number 18, Taylor Kanan.
And that'll bring up the second base player, Taylor Kanan. Kanan 0 for 3 plus a walk in game 1 of the doubleheader. And as Connor mentioned, the Bulldogs only had 3 hits in game 1 of the doubleheader. 2 of them were from Oberle and the other one from Hannah Block. So a number of them looking to get on track here, as that one is skied to right field. And the catch made by Mackenzie Allen.
Now batting number 21, Jessica Brent.
And so 1 out in the top of the 3rd. And that brings up catcher Jessica Bren. And way outside the runner goes. Do they get her at second? They do. So a nice job there, as Oberle is caught stealing. Chevalier throwing to Christina Clawberg.
Let's watch it one more time on TampaSpartans.tv. Gunned down Chevalier, the strong arm, and the swipe tagged by Balmer.
Jessica Bren fouled off second pitch from Galhouse. And so now here comes the 1-1. And that one's going to go foul down the right field line.
Bren hitless in the first game, 0 for 4 with the run scored. Spartans entered the day 4th in the SSC, trailing Rollins, Embry-Riddle, and Florida Tech.
The 1-2, chopper and fielded cleanly over to first for out number 3. So the Bulldogs, no runs on 1 hit. There were no Spartan errors and no Bulldogs runners left on base through 2.5. Our score holds UMD 1 and UT 0. You're watching on TampaSpartans.tv. The Spartans left fielder Avery Perkins leading off the bottom of the 3rd for the home team. And Avery Perkins 3 for 11 on the season. Good for a .273 batting average. This is her 9th game that she's played in the 2019-2020 season. And Maddie Staria ready with the 0-1 and sails it over the catcher's head to the backstop. One and one to Avery Perkins, a freshman from down in Fort Myers.
And we see her in the starting lineup collecting the spot start. In her last 2 starts, she's 3 for her last 6 with 2 runs scored.
Now the 2-1 to her, and she pops it up. And once again, been a busy day for Emma Frost over at third base. So with 1 out, that brings up designated player Emily Prophet, and just like that, she's retired as Jordan Thomas makes the catch for out number 2.
Recurring theme of today for the Spartans. The Bulldogs pitchers have made quick work of them, attacking the strike zone early, getting weak contact as a result. But hey, 1-run game here, only in the 3rd inning. Spartans very well could come back here. Mention now 2-5 in games they've trailed in.
We did see in the first game Sam Pedersen very efficient with her pitches, and Spartans very quickly already have 2 away here in the bottom of the 3rd.
And this is a comeback offense for the Spartans. They have been at their best when they've been behind.
Kenzie Allen bounces that one to short and does beat the throw. So good hustle by Mackenzie Allen, as Kanan not able to get it over to Thomas in time.
Just want to show, look at this speed, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot teach that hustle. Allen did not hit it great, but she busted down the first baseline in a 2-out infield single, the first hit of the game for the Spartans.
And the batter now, the shortstop, Steph Ballmer. She struck out back in the first inning. And the 1-0 to her is ball 2. Steph Ballmer 0 for 4 in game 1.
And now, Bruce, you've been struggling offensively. Any consideration of sending Allen at first with 2 down?
Well, given the way that game 1 went, yes. If this game stood on its own, I would say no, it's still early.
I agree. I might be aggressive here.
And you also have to remember, as that one's popped up in the air and called for, and moving over to make the grab was Oberle. And so the Spartans are retired. To finish the thought, you have to remember the trouble that Tampa had in game 1 in converting runners that they had on base, so wouldn't have been out of the question for them to send the runner, but it's academic at this point as the 3rd inning is complete and the Bulldogs continue to lead 1-0 here on TampaSpartans.tv. Back with you here at the Namoli Family Stadium as we get ready for the top of the 4th inning. And leading things off for the Bulldogs is Jordan Thomas. And Galehouse with the offering to Thomas, and she follows that one back to the screen for strike 1. The Bulldogs with 4 hits so far in the game, UT with just 1. And despite the way it might feel, Connor, still only a 1-0 game, so field seems like it's tilted in the Bulldogs' favor, but just 1 run by the home team, and all of a sudden it's tied in a brand new game.
Absolutely. Thomas drove in the lone run of the game thus far. That was in the first inning as she chops one. Quick hands by Jansen for the out. And yes, it came, and that scored Conan back in the first, but the game has really slowed down as both of these pitchers, Galehouse and then, of course, Drea, have settled in. And hey, the Spartans right in this game here at home, trailing by 1. A lot of softball left to play.
Jamie Langben now the batter. And Langben watches strike 1. In game 1, Langben 0 for 2. She did have an RBI. She walked. And that one gets away. One and one now to Jamie Langben, 5'7" senior, and the pitch from the freshman Galehouse, and that one goes out of play and lands on top of the UMD dugout. Galehouse delivers, and right back to her, and she throws it over to first for the out. And Galehouse, only 30 pitches so far in the game, as there's 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. Correction, that was 30 pitches entering this inning. But still, that meant that she was averaging 10 over each of the first 3 innings.
And yeah, it's been apparent on both sides for both of these games that these hitters are attacking early in these counts. We've not seen many lengthy at-bats today.
This is Sydney Zavral, and that one goes foul down the third base line. The big 6'1" freshman Zavral going against the 5'8" freshman Mariah Galehouse.
And these Bulldogs, they have some big boppers in this lineup, fully capable if you make a mistake out over the heart of the plate.
The 2-1 is down to third, and the throw over to first, and just like that, down go the Bulldogs. No runs, no hits, no Spartan errors, and no UMD runners left on base through 3.5. The score holding 1-0 in favor of the Bulldogs here on TampaSpartans.tv.
Monday, man. Big Monday. Christina Klauberg leading off the bottom of the 4th for the Spartans. Klauberg 0 for 1 in this game. And the first pitch, strike 1.
And that one hit her. And Clawberg, wow.
Right
She
off
felt
the
that
left kneecap. That one hurt.
And trots down to first base. And let's see if they give her a pinch runner.
I was thinking the same thing, Bruce. I might. I mean, she's a little bit banged up, as you can tell. She's taking a few steps past first base, and you see Chris Tehanika, the first base umpire, checking on her, and it looks like now the crew chief, Kevin Jack, walking to Leslie Cantor. I think she's going to be replaced from this game.
Yeah,
she
indeed.
is.
See her going off the field, and she'll be replaced by Anissa Grant as the pinch runner. And by the way, Sam Kay is still throwing in the Spartans bullpen. And so with Grant now pinch running at first, and it's Corinne Miner coming to bat. And that one up high as
Anissa does not have a stolen base on the season, but 3 runs scored. She can fly on the base pass, and in a one-run game, we would love to have that threat in motion for the Spartans.
Yeah, and you saw Jessica Brent pop up right away behind the plate, keeping her honest. Miner lays down the bunt, and a sacrifice as Grant is moved over to second.
Superb job by Miner, getting the job done. And now Spartans in a situation, a base hit with the speedy Grant would likely tie the game.
Grant on second base, and Mariah Gelhaus, the batter. And the first pitch to her, see in the dirt, ball 1. Gelhaus 0 for 1 in this game.
And the first chance for the Spartans in the second game with a runner in scoring position. And they've had their hands full against Straea. They're just 1 for 10 as a team thus far. But with Anissa Grant standing on second and 1 down, Block, the backstop, wants to have a word as crew chief Tehanika breaks up the meeting in this marquee matchup.
Well, and you combine this with the first game of the doubleheader, the Spartans, of course, have never led. And you have to go all the way back to the second inning of the first game for when it was tied, and that was 0-0. So the Spartans looking to get a tie here if they can convert the runner Grant from second.
And now 3-0 the count. Strike zone from Kevin Jack has been consistent. Gives her the green light. How about that?
Gelhaus skies it to center field, and Grant is going to go, and they'll have her by a mile over at third base.
Wow, how about that? The Bulldogs get the double play. A 3-0 count, swinging away, skies it. And then Grant makes a costly decision to try to advance, and you never get thrown out at third. Final out.
And it looked to me like head coach Leslie Cantor was none too pleased.
No.
And Anissa Grant will hear about that one. In the meantime, we're through 4 complete. The score holding, the Bulldogs 1, the Spartans nothing here on TampaSpartans.tv. Back here at the Namoli Family Stadium, getting ready for the top of inning number 5. And the Bulldogs, who lead it 1-0, will send up designated player Hannah Block. Block 0 for 1 in this game. A ground out back in the second inning. And now the 0-1 coming to her. Ball 1. Hannah Block was the catcher in game 1 of the doubleheader. As I mentioned, the DP here in game 2. And now here comes the 2-1 to her. Swung on and a fly ball. Backing up and making the catch is Christina Clawberg.
And Gail House has been in the zone these last few innings following the first inning. Settled in, pitching a heck of a game. Defense doing the job behind her.
Brings up Emma Frost, who has had a busy day defensively and is 0 for 1 at the plate. She struck out looking in the second inning. And the 0-1 is ball 1. Spartans with just 1 hit through 4 innings. The 2-1, and that's outside for ball 3. Emma Frost waits. Galhouse delivers, swings and fouls it back to the screen. Two and 2 the count. And she sends that one right over to Emily Jansen for the unassisted put out, and that's out number 2.
Looking ahead, 5, 6, 7, Philip Chevalier Perkins for the Spartans in the bottom of the 5th.
Brings up the left fielder, Lauren Greeter, and shoots that one right over to Bailey Phillips for out number 3. UMD, no runs, no hits, no Spartan errors, and no Bulldogs runners left on base through 4.5. Score holding 1-0 in favor of the Bulldogs.
This is the University of Tampa. Explore your dreams. Discover your talents. Get ready to invent, innovate, and be a leader. This is the University of Tampa.
Freshman pitcher Maddie Staria getting the job done so far here for the Bulldogs in game 2 of this doubleheader as she sends the first pitch of the bottom of the 5th inning into Bailey Phillips for strike 1.
And I like that take for Phillips because the Spartans have been swinging at the majority of these first pitches, and let's be honest, it hasn't been working thus far. And the pitch count says it all. 38 entering this bottom of the fifth inning. So the Spartans need to mix it up, and we see that here. It's a 1-1 count, just trying to do anything to try to flip momentum in their favor.
Bailey Phillips 0 for 1 in this game. And you see there the strike. Bailey Phillips 1 for 1 and also had a walk in the first game of the doubleheader, as that one is not caught. A foul ball down the first base line.
And a prime position. New life for Phillips. Off the bat, looked like either Thomas or Cannon was going to get to it. Fell into no man's land down the right field line in foul territory.
And you have to wonder, had that been the first game, if that catch would have been made, because maybe she's just a little winded from this being the Bulldogs' second game of the day.
Absolutely, that's a good point. Let's take a look at this pitch one more time, and what Straea was able to do is Phillips was in there, was reading fastball the whole way, and Straea goes with the changeup out in front. It was the thing of beauty for the strikeout.
And the pitch there to Lexi Chevalier, strike one. Chevalier 0 for 1 in this game so far. She flew out to left field in the second, and now she's going to be out by way of that play. The catch made at shortstop by Oberle.
Lauren Oberle showing off what she can do as a shortstop in the infield. Go up and get it. Showing off the range and robbing Chevalier of a base hit for the second out.
That brings up Avery Perkins for her second at-bat of the game. She popped out to third. Her previous at-bat, which was in the third. And here she is with 2 outs in the bottom of the fifth. Swings and a chopper. They're not going to get her. So good hustle there as Avery Perkins beats it out to give the Spartans a runner here in the bottom of the fifth with 2 away. And good hustle there by Perkins, because that's kind of a play where you could kind of get that defeatist attitude. We lost, we're losing this game. It looks like it's going to be a routine play, and she still gave it her all anyways.
Most definitely.
See the reward.
And based on the game flow of both the first and second game, anytime the Spartans get a base runner, we're going to keep close attention, because it has been so difficult for these hitters. And Perkins, she has some wheels over at first base. The secondary lead on these first couple pitches here to Profit. She's trying to get a break on Straea in the circle. Would not be surprised if we see her on the run.
Emily Profit, the number 8 hitter, and sends that one foul over towards her own dugout. Profit popped out to first in the third inning. And the count now 1-2. Trying to keep things alive for the home team here, as it's way outside for ball 2, and you saw the...
Yeah, it was an intentional pitch out, it looked like. They thought that Perkins was perhaps on the run. You saw Block take a step or two up.
Bren popped right up from behind the plate. There's a well-hit ball down the left field line, but that one goes foul over the fence down near the Spartans bullpen.
I like what Profit is doing here. 2-2, 2 out, 1 on. But most importantly, Straea has had to work this at-bat. And she's had to battle.
And follows that one back. And indeed, Staria, her pitch count is going to increase the longer that Emily Profit works this at-bat, compared to the way that the rest of this game has gone for her. Very, very efficient. And now that one is hit to right field, and the catch made as Zavral makes the play for the third out.
Let's take a look. One more play. We've seen a few highlight reel plays. The charging right fielder making the play. And then do we give an assist to the second baseman for the follow-through there? Nonetheless, Minnesota Duluth leading 1-0 after 5 here on TampaSpartans.tv. We'll be back right after this.
This is the University of Tampa. Explore your dreams. Discover your talents. Get ready to invent, innovate, and be a leader. This is the University of Tampa.
The clock is ticking on the Tampa Spartans as we are already starting the 6th inning here, and leading things off for the University of Minnesota Duluth will be Lauren Oberle, and it brings us back to the top of the order for the visitors. And Oberle, a pair of singles in her first 2 at-bats in this game.
Let's take a look at the Pizza Hut drive of the day. It came back in the first game. It was 0-0, top of the 3rd. It was off Corinne Miner. Lauren Oberle touch them all, and she got all of it. The winds were up to 17 miles per hour when she crushed that one in orbit. And since then, Minnesota Duluth has looked extremely sharp both offensively and defensively, but the Spartans are right there as we approach crunch time.
The 1-0 to Oberle, and Galehouse gets strike 1. And if you're Lauren Oberle, you got to be feeling good. And rockets that one foul over on the first base side.
How about that? That cleared the netting and actually went onto the roof of the Martinez Center.
And the next pitch, she goes the other way. So 1-2 here to Lauren Oberle. Mariah Galehouse working here in the top of the 6th inning. Trying to catch the outside corner, but unsuccessful. Galehouse delivers, and that one is fouled off. Galehouse versus Oberle. Here we go again. And the count goes full. Here's the 3-2. And Oberle reaches base again, this time by way of a walk. And so the Bulldogs put their leadoff hitter on base here to start the top of the 6th, which brings up second base player Taylor Kanan.
And you can tell that Lauren Oberle is going to be a wreck to be. As we have a bunt, hang on a second, as Galehouse will record the out advancing the second Oberle. To finish that thought, Oberle in the Northern Sun Conference will be a very tough out every time she comes to at-bat in her senior season. The senior here, only a short sample size of 2 games, but man, has she been impressive.
And now here she is in scoring position for the Bulldogs, who have the game's only run, which came all the way back in the top of the 1st. And the batter now, Jessica Bren. And that one hit Bren. Sure seemed to have hit Bren.
It did, but Bruce, she actually swung. So as a result, it will be a foul ball, believe it or not. So tough luck there for Bren, who will pay the price of being grazed on the wrist, but swung as a result. And now it takes one down the middle, quickly behind 0-2.
Jessica Bren hit into a fielder's choice back in the first, ground out in the third, working here in the sixth, and fouls that one off. One out, and the pitcher, Mariah Gelhaus, ahead here, the 0-2, and not able to get it, as that's ball one. Now the 1-2 is outside. Count even now for Jessica Bren. There's the pitch. Ball three. So Bren has battled back after having fallen behind 0-2.
Great pitch by Gelhaus, just a bit outside.
Here comes the 3-2, and a well-hit ball. That one goes way back and gone. A 2-run home run for Jessica Bren. Lauren Oberle scoring ahead of her, and UMD takes a 3-0 lead.
Well, the pitch before just missed. Bren going down looking, and let's watch one more time. Gelhaus comes with the heat, and Bren with the healthy cut drills it into the pillars of left field. 3-0 Bulldogs in the top of the sixth.
And just like we saw with the home run in game one, another really well-hit ball to left field. And so with only one out here in the top of the sixth, the visitors expand their lead to now 3-0. And the batter is first base player Jordan Thomas.
And we talked a lot about how some of these Minnesota Duluth hitters had to pop. And that has been on full display today between Oberle and now Bren going the distance.
Here comes the 1-1. And a shot fielded nicely. And throwing from her knees, Christina Klauberg over to Jansen for out number 2.
We've seen a few web gems defensively from Minnesota Duluth today, but Christina Klauberg, the senior second baseman, show off the leather. Let's take a look. Oh, and is crushed by the southpaw. The quick hands able to retire the dangerous hitter. And now another grounder to Balmer. And a nice stretch by Jansen to retire the side, but not before the Bulldogs add 2 more. It came via the 2-run shot from Bren. And the Spartans coming to bat. It will be Allen, Balmer, and Klauberg here on TampaSpartans.tv.
Mackenzie Allen to lead things off for the Spartans here in the bottom of the sixth, as they have fallen behind by 3-0. We had seen just 1 run in the game, which had come all the way back in the top of the first. And the Bulldogs finally get back on the scoreboard. And UT just has not had much success whatsoever crossing the plate here today. They scored just 1 run in the first game of the doubleheader, and that was in the bottom of inning number 7. And here they are in game 2, trailing 3-0 in the bottom of the 6th. And the 1-1 to Allen. And Mackenzie Allen, the number 9 hitter, leads off with her second single of the game.
And Bruce, looking at this Minnesota Duluth infield, where they are vulnerable is on those slowly chopped grounders, because looking at these infielders, they're not the quickest footed players. They have tremendous pop and power, but if you hit it in between and you have a speedy player like Mac Allen, good things are going to happen. But the Spartans, they need to get a little bit more than that, of course, with only 3 hits.
Well, and keep in mind the base running error, if we can call it that, by pinch runner Anissa Grant.
Yes, very costly.
What that might have meant. But of course, hindsight is 20/20, and now the Spartans find themselves with a runner on first here in the bottom of the 6th, and no outs. The 1-1 pitch to Steph Ballmer, and the count goes to 2-1.
And Bruce, we've spoken about how prolific this power-hitting team for Minnesota Duluth is, as we see the 2-1 on the way, and it's a sky-high pop-up taken by Frost for the first out, excuse me. But the Spartans team entering this game, and now keep in mind that entering this game, the Spartans, through 24 games, were 18-6, did not surrender a home run. They've given up 2 today to both Oberle and Brent. What has Minnesota Duluth been able to do in the batter's box?
Well, they've been able to do, I'm tempted to say quite a bit, but at the same time, they've done just enough. Just enough as it relates to the fact that the Spartans, and we've said this repeatedly, but when you're not able to convert runners on base, you don't have to do a whole lot. They don't have to win the game 6-1, 7-0, and we see that by way of the 4-1 victory in game 1, and now leading 3-0, and leading, some might say only 3-0, but probably feeling awfully comfortable leading 3-0, knowing that they're potentially 5 outs away from sweeping the doubleheader.
And a late strike call from Kevin Jack. Big swing call on the 1-1 count. It goes 1-2 instead of 2-1.
And again, just to continue the thought, keep in mind they only had 3 hits the entire first game, and here they are with 5 in this one, as you see the fly out to center field. So a combined total of only 8 hits, yet they've parlayed that into a combined total of 7 runs. And the Spartans, on the other hand, a combined total of 11 hits and only 1 run to show for it.
Yeah, especially in the first game, Bruce, the Spartans with those 8 hits had several chances. You said 10 runners left on for sure.
A fly out by Clawberg for out number 2, and now see Corinne Miner.
Valiant effort by Thomas there. Almost made the catch that would have retired the side, but dropped it in the process.
So 0-1 to Corinne Miner, with Mackenzie Allen over on first base. One foul. And Corinne Miner, after that impressive first game offensively, they're looking for her to come through here. The number 3 hitter in the Spartan batting order. And here comes the 1-2 from Storia. And caught for out number 3. So Maddie Storia is 3 outs away from a complete game victory, as her team has a 3-0 lead after 6 innings here on TampaSpartans.tv.
At Jimmy John's, we're freaks about best-in-class ingredients, so it's no wonder we announced our new 9-grain wheat sub in the middle of a wheat field. When you've got news this big, it's not enough to just add it to the menu. Where's the freak in that? To celebrate a new sandwich with a taste so inspired, we introduced it in the place that inspired it. The new Jimmy John's 9-grain wheat sub, now available at a Jimmy John's, much, much, much closer to you. Wheat yet? Freak yet?
Back live with you here at the Namoli Family Stadium. And Galehouse with the first pitch of inning number 7, and that's going to be a base hit. And so the Bulldogs picking up where they left off in the top of the 6th.
See a pinch runner, McKenna Bursley, pinch running for the Bulldogs, and a pinch hitter, Bree Bresnahan. Some switches for Jen Walter.
We saw Bresnahan pinch hit in game 1. And now here she is in the top of the 7th of game 2. And her team leading 3-0. So McKenna Bursley, the runner over at first.
Well, how about the decision to take Oberle out of the game here? Check that for block. Okay, I checked that. I was about to say, I was looking at the numbers, and I was going to say that's not something you would do. So for block, what do you think about that decision here? We saw Bresnahan in the first game here, Bruce. A reserve. Obviously, Jen Walter has a lot of faith and a lot of confidence in this bat.
Yeah, I was going to say it could be exactly that of let's give a player, a sophomore, an opportunity to play in a situation with a little bit of drama to it. At the same time, it's the 7th and what they obviously feel will be the last inning. That's a good move by Jen Walter to give the youngster a chance to bat here.
She struck out in her lone at-bat in the first game, ahead 2-1.
And there you see the ball getting away, and so as a result, Bursley, no, they get her. Wow. Well, and Connor, in a case like that, credit to the Spartans for still firing on all cylinders and not giving up, still trying to make every play, every chance they get.
You hit the nail on the head, and sometimes when you have freshmen out there, you get a freshman mistake, and that's exactly what happened with McKenna Bursley. An inexperienced play, rounding second. You have to stay put at second when you advance from first. How about the awareness from Chevalier behind the plate? She could have easily just lobbed it back to Galehouse as it's a grounder to Balmer across the diamond for the second out. And instead, she gunned it over to second, and all of a sudden, that could have been runner on second, nobody out. Now, 2 quick outs, nobody on. Spartans, opportunity to get out of this. Last licks trail by 3 in the bottom of the 7th.
Yeah, Bresnahan out at first, and that brings up, as you say, Emma Frost to now empty bases. And the first pitch, strike 1 to Frost. And she is 0 for 2 in this game. Two outs, top of the 7th, and the 0-1 is a long fly ball to right field, but there to make the catch is Mackenzie Allen for out number 3. So the Spartans with one last at bat to see if they can come up with 3 runs. Keep in mind that they've only scored 1 run against this UMD team in now 13 innings, and they need to manufacture 3. But as they say, that's why they play the games. So we'll be back with the bottom of the 7th here on TampaSpartans.tv.
This is the University of Tampa. Explore your dreams. Discover your talents. Get ready to invent, innovate, and be a leader. This is the University of Tampa.
Back live with you here at the Namoli Family Stadium as the Spartans get ready to try to finally solve the pitching of Maddie Staria. And it's now or never, as Elvis once sang. trailing 3-0, and the home team has mustered just 3 hits over the first 6 innings.
Yes, 3 hits in 19 plate appearances. That's only a 158 clip, and give credit to Staria. She has been a stud in the circle thus far. She's 3 outs away from the complete game shutout, and the Spartans, they'll have their work cut out for them. It'll be an uphill battle. They have 3 outs to work with, need to get 3 to try to extend this game.
And the first pitch to Mariah Galhouse is high for ball 1. Galhouse 0 for 2 in this game. And the next pitch to her is swung on, and a well-hit ball to left field. And Mariah Galhouse is in standing up with a single.
That's exactly what the Spartans were hoping for. Get that leadoff runner on, because with that, now the tying run standing on deck for Bailey Phillips.
Bailey Phillips 0 for 2 in this game. And the first pitch to her is ball 1. And it has to be encouraging for her coming to the plate, seeing a teammate already on base, as the Spartans start off the bottom of the 7th with a single. And mixed reaction in the crowd. As we mentioned, supporters here on behalf of University of Minnesota Duluth. And now the 2-0 coming. And Staria does catch the corner for strike 1. Pitch on the way to Phillips, and that one is fair. And so that one rolls all the way to the wall, and coming all the way around to score is Galhouse. So an RBI double for Bailey Phillips. And the Spartans get on the board. It's 3-1 with no outs, and now a runner in scoring position for Lexi Chevalier.
Signs of life for the Tampa Spartans in the bottom of the 7th. Let's watch it again. The quick hands rips it down the left field line. Bailey Phillips drives home Galhouse, and the Spartans not done yet. And this call to the bullpen is brought to you by Pizza Hut. Make it great. Brianna Swint, senior from Marysville, California, into relief Straia. And how good was Straia, Bruce? Her final stat line still up in the air because that runner Phillips on second is her responsibility. But across 6+ innings, she did more than enough to put the Bulldogs in a position to win this game.
Yeah, Staria can't be disappointed in getting pulled. Obviously, head coach Jen Walter wanted to lock this down, but Staria with a great outing, and now they lean on Brianna Swint, who comes in with a 3.92 earned run average, a 2-2 1-loss record. She has pitched 39 1/3 so far this season.
Representing the tying run, Lexi Chevalier steps up to the dish. Brianna Swint looking for the save for Minnesota Duluth.
Number 13, Lexi Chevalier.
So no outs, as the first 2 Spartan batters have notched base hits. And the first pitch on the way from Brianna Swint, and it's fouled out of the stadium by Lexi Chevalier.
If you like drama, ladies and gentlemen, you came to the right place. Here in the bottom of the 7th, Spartans looking to climb back into this one.
And the 0-1 to Chevalier, swing and a miss. And Chevalier, to Swint's credit, chased and is now behind 0-2. Now here's the 0-2, and outside for ball 1. Now here's the 1-2 from Brianna Swint. And Chevalier takes ball 2. Good patience by Lexi Chevalier at a time when you know that one swing of the bat will tie the game. And here's the 2-2, and Chevalier bounces it to third, and it's over to first for out number 1.
Here's Avery Perkins, 1 on, 1 out. And a meeting between Denise Rubio and Leslie Cantor. Wonder what this is about. Maybe the thought of a pinch hitter, perhaps? Looks like Perkins will swing the bat.
Well, Perkins is 1 for 2. She did single in her last at-bat, which was in inning number 5. And ball 1 to Avery Perkins. Perkins, the number 7 hitter, facing Brianna Swint, who replaced the starter Maddie Staria. And there's one to short, and sails over the first base player's head. And the Spartans will now have runners on second and third, which means that the winning run comes to the plate as Emily Prophet approaches the batter's box.
Well, we had been talking about how dynamic Lauren Oberle has been all game long, and she made one critical mistake, airmailing her teammate Thomas at first base. It goes from being Phillips on at second, 2 down, 3-1, all of a sudden 1 down, and Phillips is at third, and now, of course, standing at second, Perkins, and the batter stepping up to the plate, Emily Prophet, representing, like you said, the winning run.
Prophet 0 for 2 in this game.
And a single, for all intents and purposes, would tie the game.
And Swint, ball 1 to Emily Prophet. Brianna Swint gets the sign and now delivers the 1-0, and that's up high for ball 2. And by the way, on deck, Mackenzie Allen, who is 2 for 2 in this game. And momentum starting to swing the Spartans' way as Swint gets strike 1. Two-one on the way to Prophet. 3-1. You saw the catcher Bren popping up, keeping an eye on Bailey Phillips, the Spartans runner over at third base. And now here comes the 3-1 to Prophet, and draws the walk. So how about this? As the bases are now loaded, and we're going to get a pinch hitter.
Alexa Russo stepping to the plate. Crunch time, bases loaded, bottom of the 7th. Spartans down 3-1. Emily Prophet standing on first, representing the winning run. As for Brianna Swint, you can tell she's a little bit rattled right now after she's been losing the strike zone.
Well, at the same time, interesting choice to put in Alexa Russo, a freshman who's only had 15 at-bats this season, 2 for 15. And here she is in a critical moment. The team trailing 3-1. Granted, there's only 1 out, but this is the bottom of the 7th.
Both Thomas and Kanan trying to encourage the Bulldog closer. 1 down, bases loaded, 3-1. Here we go.
And the first pitch to Russo, strike 1. Alexa Russo from right here in Tampa Now the 0-1 from Swint. 1-1. Brianna Swint, a senior, pitching to Alexa Russo, the freshman. And here comes the 1-1. Russo lines that one to right field, and it's caught for out number 2 as Bailey Phillips crosses the plate. So the score now 3-2.
And now how about Perkins advancing to third as well? So a pressure now on the backstop, of course, Bren, because anything that gets away, Perkins could potentially score on a pass ball. 3-2, 2 down. And stepping up to the plate, Steph Ballmer. Runners on the corners. Profit at first, Perkins at third. Swint looking to deliver the sweep for Minnesota Duluth.
Steph Ballmer 0 for 3 in this game. And a good time for her to break out if you're a Spartans fan. As you see the first pitch from Swint to Ballmer, strike 1.
And now Jen Walter will take a moment to have a word with her closer, as well as Bren, the catcher. 0-1 the count, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in, TampaSpartans.tv. This one has not disappointed in the slightest, but a very exciting 2 games. Bruce Wozniak, Connor Moore, thanks for spending part of your Monday afternoon with us.
And Connor, for as fast as this game was moving, it has ground to a halt. As these teams, their coaches being tacticians trying to navigate through this. There's a ball that's hit to short. The throw over to first. Is it in time? It gets away. And
oh my goodness.
Tying run did score.
How this game, the Bulldog faithful in disbelief here at Namoli Family Stadium, they had this game within their reach. It was a throw from Oberly across the diamond to Thomas. The execution, the conversion was not there. And somehow, and I mean somehow, the Spartans have struck for 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th inning.
And on top of it, not only do we have Ballmer at first, but keep in mind, Emily Prophet standing at third, representing the winning run, as the score is tied at 3. And there's a foul ball by Christina Klauberg.
And Bruce, I have to ask, if you're Brianna Swint, how do you get back in the circle and battle back after you make a pitch, you see Oberly fielded, throw it across the diamond, and right then and there you're thinking ball game over?
You are, but at the same time you got to lean on what you've done for your whole softball career. I mentioned that she is a senior, so it just has to come natural, as there's a ball that's hit and caught for out number 3. So down goes Klauberg, but the Spartans put up 3 runs in the bottom of the 7th to tie it. So
hey, we have free softball, ladies and gentlemen. It does not get any better than this. 7 innings. We are not able to determine a victor here in game number 2. Bulldogs and Spartans clashing it out here at Namoli.
We'll go to a break with the score tied 3-3 and be back with the top of the 8th inning.
I'll give it to you. I'll agree. We can go with the 6.
Back live here at the Namoli Family Stadium, where the Spartans, who had only scored 1 run in 13 innings combined today against the UMD Bulldogs, put up 3 in the bottom of the 7th to send this game into extra innings.
And it's funny, when we call these softball games, Bruce, in any game, for whatever reason, we look at the first game, it was 4-1 in favor of Minnesota Duluth. What was a big deciding factor? The 2 errors by the Spartans. What do we have here? A 3-3 game that the Spartans were given new life, largely in part to the 2 Minnesota Duluth errors that just so happened to occur in the bottom of that 7th inning.
But the other stat is in Game 1, I harped upon the fact that the Spartans stranded too many runners. And so in terms of a reversal, meaning what you just talked about with the errors, the Spartans have cut in half the number of runners that they've left on base from Game 1 to Game 2. And that's allowed them to be here in an extra inning situation, as it's Lauren Greeter, left fielder for the Bulldogs. And she goes down as out number 1 on the strikeout by Galhouse. It's worth noting that Galhouse has gone the distance here for UT as opposed to UMD, who we saw the pitching change where Maddie Staria had started the game and then was relieved by Brianna Swint.
We spoke about how Sam Kay has been up and down throughout this game, warming up. Expect her to be available if need be, but like you said, Mariah Galehouse, the freshman, has been rock solid in the circle as she has limited this Minnesota Duluth team to just 6 hits, 3 runs to show for it. Of course, the Bren home run, a large part of the damage that came in the 6th. But aside from that opening first inning, she's really cruised through this game and looked good doing it.
Although the dangerous Lauren Oberle here, you see the way that she being Mariah Galehouse, the way she's been trying to navigate through this at-bat as she sends in the 2-1. And taken for ball 3. So Oberle, who had singled in her first 2 at-bats in this game and then walked her last time up, and a 3-1 to her now, and puts it in play, and nicely thrown by Balmer over to Jansen for the second out. So very quickly we see the script being flipped in more ways than one, and all of a sudden the Bulldogs 1 out away from having to go back on defense against a Tampa team that's found its hitting shoes.
Without a doubt, and the Spartans have all the momentum right now, especially when you look at the heart of the lineup, 3, 4, 5 minor, Galehouse, Phillips due up. If Galehouse is able to record this out, this crowd will explode knowing that you have the prolific minor, Galehouse swinging a hot bat, of course, and then Phillips, who had that rocket double that scored 1. Spartans right where they want to be. Did not think they'd probably be here entering the bottom of the 7th inning. Give them a lot of credit. This team is resilient. They do not give up. And we talk about it. They are meant for the comeback. They swing their bats best when they're behind.
Taylor Kanan and ball 2. Kanan 1 for 2 in this game. And if you think back to the defensive play that I talked about that the Spartans made, where I said that just shows that they haven't given up, that they're still trying every play, every opportunity. And there's a base hit by Kanan. And that statement I was making is a testimony to why this game is tied, how they were able to claw their way back in. And so now for the Bulldogs, they will send up their number 3 hitter, Jessica Bren. And Bren, keep in mind, hit the home run, 2-run shot back in the 6th inning. And what we thought was going to be a decisive home run, as you see her sky 1-2 all the way to the warning track. And now they are going to have the runner come all the way around and score. So Taylor Kanan makes it 4-3 for the Bulldogs after it seemed like it was going to possibly be a fast top of the 8th for the visitors. And instead, with 2 outs, Bren comes through with some more offensive heroics as she's now on second. And there's a shot by Jordan Thomas. And that's just fouled on the left field line.
Bulldogs bats battling. And Bren, how impressive is she, members? I mean, 2 hits, 2 extra base hits. She's looking reminiscent of Oberle in the first game today, providing the spark for Minnesota Duluth.
Well, I'll tell you what, the fans must feel like they're not sitting inside the Mully Family Stadium. They must feel like they're sitting at Busch Gardens, this roller coaster ride, as now the Bulldogs are going to score again. And how about that? They go from a 3-0 lead to giving up 3 in the bottom of the 7th, going into the top of the 8th, and all of a sudden 2 batters down, and just like that, they score 2 runs. So a 5-3 UMD lead. And up to bat now, Jamie Langben. Jordan Thomas over at first base. And Langben, the center fielder, who is 0 for 3 in this game. And now the pitch coming from Galhouse, and does catch outside of the strike zone. So it's 1-2.
You give some credit to Galhouse. I mean, 78 pitches. How she's been able to keep this pitch count as low as she has.
That one almost got away, and Chevalier able to snare the ball before it would have let Jordan Thomas advance to second. Here comes the 2-2, and another base hit. And Jamie Langben with the single that moves Thomas over to second. And remember, this all coming with 2 outs.
Yeah, the first 2 hitters went down, and then a flurry here, this 2-out rally building for the Bulldogs. This call to the bullpen, presented by Team One Sports. It's Sam K, southpaw, entering the game forward. The Spartans will take a quick break here on TampaSpartans.tv.
This is the University of Tampa. Explore your dreams. Discover your talents. Get ready to invent, innovate, and be a leader. This is the University of Tampa.
Back here with you as the pitching change being made by the Spartans. Sam Kay comes in back in game 1 of this doubleheader. She pitched 2 1/3 innings. She walked 1 and struck out 2. And so Mariah Galhouse exits the game, or at least the pitching circle, I should say, as it's 5-3 in favor of the Bulldogs with 2 out in the top of the 8th. And don't forget, UMD has runners on first and second, as the batter is McKenna Bursley. And McKenna Bursley facing Sam Kay here, a lefty pitcher. And Kay throws ball 1. Bursley, the right fielder, 1-0 to her. And strike 1. Up high for ball 2. Kay looking into Chevalier for the sign and delivers, and strike 2. The UMD fans don't like that call. Let's see if Sam Kay can come in here and close out McKenna Bursley and these UMD Bulldogs here in the top of the 8th. And there's a foul ball. Kay now coming with the 2-2. And that's going to be ball 3. So the plot thickens here as the count goes full. And the drama continues here inside the Namoli Family Stadium. 3-2, swung on and caught. A great diving play there by Emily Jansen for out number 3, but not before the Bulldogs put up 2, making the score 5-3 in favor of the visitors as we go to the bottom of the 8th. You're watching on TampaSpartans.tv. Can the Tampa Spartans find a little more magic? If so, it's going to start with Corinne Miner leading off the bottom of the 8th here. And the first pitch to her is swung on, and a ball driven deep to left field. And a great catch made out there by Lauren Greeter for out number 1 on a very well hit ball by Corinne Miner.
She got all of it, gave it a ride to the left field track. And a beautiful running catch by Greeter for the first out.
And that'll bring up Mariah Gelhaus, who had pitched most of the game until finally being taken out in the top of the 8th in favor of Sam Kay. Gelhaus 1 for 3 in this game. She did single in her last time at bat, which was in the bottom of the 7th, when UT put up all 3 of their runs to force the extra inning. And the count now 1-1 with 1 out to Gelhaus. And the next pitch on the way from Brianna Swint. And it's fouled back for strike 2.
David, the Spartans just want to give yourself an opportunity to get that tying run to the plate. If you're able to get somebody on, take your chances from there.
Swint, and it's fouled off. Maddie Staria, similar to Mariah Gelhaus, Staria had pitched a good chunk of the game as the starter for the Bulldogs here in Game 2 before being relieved by Swint. As you see, the ball hit to left field, and again making the catch is Greeter. And there's 2 away now for the Spartans in the bottom of the 8th. So the last hope will ride with Bailey Phillips, who's 1 for 3 in this game. And Phillips with an RBI double in that 3-run 7th inning. They'll look to see if she's got any of that left. Pitch from Swint on the way, outside for ball 1. Swint has the signal, winds, delivers, and Bailey Phillips takes ball 2. And there's a well-hit ball by Bailey Phillips. She'll be on with a single up the middle. And the Spartans live to see another batter as Lexi Chevalier comes to the plate.
And what did we see in the top of the inning? The Bulldogs get their first 2 batters retired, went on a little rally, scored 2. Spartans do the same thing. And now Chevalier representing the tying run at the dish.
First pitch to her is swung on, foul down the left field line. Lexi Chevalier, Spartan fans would argue, is due 0 for 3 in this game. And if she's going to pick a time to break that, now would be the time. Her team trailing 5-3 in the bottom of the 8th with 2 outs. Swings and misses.
Spartans down to their final strike.
Comes down to Brianna Swint versus Lexi Chevalier. Let's see who prevails. And here comes the 0-2 up high for ball 1.
She thought about it. Was able to lay off.
Bailey Phillips standing over on first base for the Spartans. Now the 1-2 to Chevalier. That's outside for ball 2. So Chevalier, a little more life being breathed back into her at-bat. And the Spartans' hopes as Brianna Swint comes with the 2-2. And that's outside, ball 3. And you couldn't have asked for it to be scripted any better, as it's a full count. And here comes that 3-2 from Brianna Swint, and it's fouled back, as usually happens.
Yes, Swint challenging Chevalier, fastball right down the middle. What do you expect? Chevalier with a great cut right on that pitch. Fouls it behind. Let's do it again.
Swint with the 3-2. And a ball hit by Chevalier, foul down the left field line. And unable to make the diving catch that time, Lauren Greeter.
We've seen Greeter make some gem-like plays out there and left. And had she been able to come down with that one, it would have been something truly remarkable. She's slowly getting up. She took a hard fall making that diving attempt, as we see Frost as well as Langben giving her a look. She looks to be all right. So that bat will continue.
Her teammates checking on her. Both Frost and Oberly went out to check on Greeter. And so the full count here as Swint exhales, gets the signal, winds, delivers, and Chevalier, it doesn't get through, and the Bulldogs get the out at second base. Bailey Phillips, and they close it out as the Spartans get no runs on one hit in the bottom of the 8th. There were no Bulldog errors and one Spartan runner left on base. So the final score, the Bulldogs sweep the doubleheader. They win game 2 by a score of 5-3. They get 5 runs on 10 hits, 2 errors. The Spartans 3 runs on 6 hits, no errors. And so overall on the season, the Spartans' record is going to fall to 18-8. And meanwhile, UMD will cross the 500 mark. They'll go to 9-8 overall.
Hats off to Minnesota Duluth. They were the better team today, winning both games. However, the Spartans almost came all the way back in the bottom of that 7th inning. They were this close, scoring that 4th run and almost winning 4-3 in 7. But give credit to Minnesota Duluth. When they were challenged, and there was 2 outs in the top of the 8th inning, we were talking about it. Tampa had all the momentum possible, and they somehow rallied, string together a few consecutive hits, came together, put together a miraculous performance, able to get to succeed.
And so the Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs will take their 2-game winning streak over to Lakeland and play a doubleheader tomorrow against St. Leo. That game starts at 12 noon Eastern time. And meanwhile, the Spartans will remain at home, and they will play another doubleheader, that being the day after tomorrow, a 4 o'clock start against Southwest Minnesota State. For today, the final scores, though, the Spartans lose game 1 of the doubleheader by a score of 4-1, and now they drop game 2 5-3. For Connor Moore, I'm Bruce Wozniak, thanking you for watching on TampaSpartans.tv and wishing you a good Monday night.